Hello everybody, welcome back in. We have some Forerunner news. There is going to be a patch that is going to be applied tomorrow to the server, so we get to see firsthand some of the new content that is being described here. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of starting at the top, I'm actually going to go to the bottom, because that's where I think really the most interesting aspects of this patch are located. So the first thing that I wanted to highlight here from this is point number 6 here. They had, at least from what I saw on either Dev Insights or one of the interviews with other content creators, was that they did not have any plans of expanding gear rate, but it does look like that is coming. So they had a change in mind, or they just wanted to keep things really tight into the chest. But we're going to have stages 22, 23, and 24 of gear rate 1, 2, and 3 that are going to be added. So we'll definitely explore this and see how much tougher it is. Whether the rates are going to change, we'll see. And if more Demon Soldier drops comes out of that, we will see. So all of that we'll get to see when the patch is applied. And then if it's in the test server, I'll jump in there too and take a look at it with that roster. Just to have a little bit more variability as to what it can be done. So that's the point number 1 here. The other thing too is that they are expanding the Tower of Deception. They're adding a phase 6 to this. So apparently once we defeat Tenga, there's going to be a phase where we're going to get demon forces from the east, whatever that means. But it says we'll face a joint assault. So we'll have to prepare for assaults to come from different angles. But they're already expanding the Tower of Deception. This is something that I expected, because we got like a narrow version of it. Most games have 100 floors to any type of content like this. So I imagine that they were going to expand that or add additional modes to this. So this is the first step. Now, it is coming quicker than I would have expected. I mean, we're still trying to get used to the 25 floors that we have right now. So they're throwing content at the people that are crying that there is no content. So, but with this, as we've seen with Heroes, comes the effect that it could be buggy. So expect that, because we know the quality of control of Muntan is lackluster. It needs to improve. So they're going to be throwing stuff at you, but don't be surprised if it's buggy or not working as is intended. But the content is going to be there for those of you that want to experience it and want it fast. The other thing that they say they're going to fix is this issue where we have been talking about calculations between attack speed and Rage Regen, especially from the basic attack. They are going to fix that issue where the attack speed was not affecting the Rage Regen basic attack in the displayed attributes. Now, it's not the mechanic itself, it's just the actual math that they were throwing at us in the attributes, which was not really reflecting what we were seeing on the field. So now they're going to make sure that that Rage Regen is shown appropriately, so then we can make the calculations accordingly. The other thing that I think is very big, especially when it comes to arena boosting, because that is a major problem that is going on. Jake Smash is following it really closely. Essentially, when he came to Wars Going On, he told us about how these particular set of players would refresh the page until they saw the boosted target in it, and then they would keep it. All right. And then once they had him in sight, or they had him in there within the last 30 minutes of arena before reset, they would just then go ahead, click the fight, exit out, lose on purpose, and then purposely boost them. Now here they're calling them revenge tries. So essentially what they're going to do is they're going to limit you on the number of revenge tries that you can have against a certain opponent. Now, whether this will fix boosting, we will have to see. But if there is this a coordinated effort of a number of individuals doing this, all it can take, based on how we see how fast these points do accumulate, is 3 or 4 chances per player. Then if those players want to, they could still go ahead and refresh the page, and based on their rankings, that same person might pop in, right? And then they'll just do it again. It might be a little bit more effort in their part, but at least this is one step that the developers are taking to make sure that the system is not thoroughly abused, right? That there isn't just the way that you're getting the top one avatar is not because you are friends with a specific group that can do this and they do it efficiently. So that's essentially what it is. All right. And I think that this also hopefully slows down this whole thing about trying to get the top one avatar so you can sell your account later in the market. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. The other thing that they're gonna add Demon Soldier Shards to the Awakening shop. Now, it's not specific here whether you're going to need epic or legendary tokens to do this, but hopefully they throw some with epic, especially for those that have a lot of them, so you can use them. There were some issues with the Guild War attack codes here in Forerunner servers. They're fixing that. Part of it is sometimes the filter will block them, or the quick import was not really working really well, so that they're improving that. That I don't think that affects too much of the global server, but at least they're working those kinks out before they do introduce them. They're going to make the Demon Soldier affiliations stronger with lords. Okay, I think that they might be getting tired of just seeing Uridens being used for this. So if they boost the lords, right, then at least they'll give those particular heroes an opportunity to be used more frequently. So that's something to, you know, it probably going to increase the gap even more between those that are heavy focused with GBG and they have the high awakening lords. So that'll definitely help there. What the percentage is, we will see. It's essential. We will see what exactly it is. They just said we're increasing the bonus. Right now, we're estimated it's around 70%. Even if it goes 8-9%, it's a big boost. So that's something that if you do rely mostly on lords to affiliate your heroes, you're going to get a big boost from that. The other thing here is in regards to Drake Casanubis 1, this is one of the suggestions that I made when the content was introduced. They're finally doing it, just like they did with AMR when 19 to 22 came out. It's going to have its own separate roster, so it's going to be separated from Nightmare Forest. So now when we click the tab, we're going to show that roster that we used previously for any one of the levels. We're going to see the one that we're using specifically for Abyss 1 and the one that we're using specifically for 3 and 4. So that's a big change there. Okay, let me go to the next one here with the Honorsgauntlet. The global server has not seen this content yet. I will admit I am not a frequent player of this content, partly because of the windows that are available to us, right? One of them just happens to be right when I'm sleeping, or the other one is when I'm at work. So I really, for me to even try the Honorsgauntlet here in the Forerunner server, it's either going to be on the Saturday, if I have time, in the afternoon, and that's it. That's really the only time that I got to really try some of this content with the new commander skills. But at least luckily now they're adding windows, and not only that, in addition to adding the windows, they're extending them out. So now there's going to be 3 hours, so it's 12 hours total now. Previously it was only 4 hours that we get to experience this, so they're expanding. So it's essentially probably they're getting ready. They're trying to see how much stress there are in the servers if they're going to put this live, and then I imagine that this will then eventually get into the global server, but this still in beta version. A lot of the ideas about toughening up the monsters, and you know that they have all these different attributes to them, damage reduction, all these different aspects of it came from the Honorsgauntlet, and then they applied it to Arena 3.0. You all just got slammed with Arena 3.0 in the global server, so you really haven't seen it. Now, if this is to roll out the same way that it is right now, then what you're going to see is that the Demon Soldiers, yes, they get tougher as the waves come out, but at the same time they deal more damage. But the only difference is, because the map is the same, the waves are the same. The only difference is because you're going head to head, you get to use this commander skills and passive skills that affect how your opponent during the battle. So for example here, they are changing the not so fast one. They're adjusting the cost recovery, so that is reduced by 75%. So if I want to mess with rage on the opponent, this is the one that I want to use, but they're increasing it to from 50 to 75%. The other one that we like to use, especially when we think we're going to go up against chaotic units in the single target aspect of it, is Ace in the Hole. That increases now the true damage that we get from the sap, so that goes from 8 to 10% of the max HP. The unfair advantage, again, increases the allies' cost recovery rate bonus from 300% to 400%. This, again, this skill was essentially is you are laid back, you sacrifice some cost region, and then when you activate this, you gain that boost, right? So either you're going to catch up or you're trying to speed up the round. And then hopefully your opponent is on one where they're on cooldown. So you're trying to catch them off guard a little bit. And so that's essentially what they're doing. They're just trying to make these commander skills a little bit better, so they have a little bit more efficiency. And these are probably the ones that people were not using as frequently, because we do have one that is a stun. That is just broken, but they haven't touched it because it's working well. So that's the one that they're going to keep. All right, so that's for the Honorsgauntlet. We'll see what edition eventually comes to the global server. But as of right now, they're just expanding the windows. They're trying to see if they can get more participation out of it here in the Forerunner server. The other thing that I know that we have here is heroes that are being reworked. Okay, so 2 of them is minor. It's nothing a big deal. The one that is getting a big change is Numera. All right, so for those of you that have heard about Numera or have seen showcases from earlier when she was introduced to the test server, essentially her whole thing is about this Grimthorn spikes. All right, so essentially what happens is that she gets them. It stacks on her, so she can get up to 4 with the ultimate. She gets 2, she then gets 6. Then once she accumulates them, she can then throw them at the enemy. It's kind of like an Iobar type of effect with his blades, right? So he accumulates the blades. Once he's ready, the ultimate, boom, you burst them up. All right, then these spikes then do damage. That's essentially what it is. 1, if the same target is hit multiple times, there's a stun that gets applied to it. Not only that, there are different debuffs that come into effect with these spikes. One of them is the Toxic Surge. So in this Toxic Surge is if there are any poison stacks on the enemy that she's targeting, it consumes them. All right. So I think that the way that is written in her description right now is that it can consume up to 40 stacks if you bring a hero that can apply poisons in it. The other thing is this, the Grimthorn roots, then apply through damage to the enemy target based on how many stacks of the spikes you were able to apply to them. Right? So essentially, from what I'm reading here, the TLDR about all this is essentially what it did is they're trying to boost the damage that she's doing due to the spikes. Not only that, they are also giving her the ability to gain rage a little bit quicker based on how many spikes are being thrown to the target. The other thing is that there are going to be more opportunities of inflicting extra stuns due to the spikes being added to the enemy target. Not only that, there's an increase in the true damage being applied, so they are definitely trying to get this boosted. But here is the key. In everything that she had in her kit, it was all about this poison explosion mechanic, right? She would then consume the poisons that the enemy target had. But the one thing that she couldn't do was apply poison herself. So you had to bring in heroes that could apply poisons with her onto the field, okay? So, given now that Failing has been introduced into the game as an epic that can just apply poisons, now she's also being given the dual faction designation. So she's going to be a piercer and she's going to be part of the Esoteria Order. I'm assuming the piercers eventually are going to get more poison heroes added to the faction as well. But now that one thing that she can do herself, given to the spikes, is that she now can apply poisons. Now, how many poisons can she stack? That is something that we're going to get. But each spike here will inflict 1 stack of poison. Her ultimate then also gives her the ability to apply more poisons. But now she is going to be able to not only apply them, but she's going to explode them as well. They reduced that to 30 stacks instead of the 40. Now, the poison mechanic in this game is lackluster, right? It doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. Neurotoxin is actually a lot better, and the only one that has it is an uncommon hero. So hopefully this gets her to do a little bit more damage. And that's what we have to wait and see. For Awakenings too, the one thing that I can major that I've seen from this is the addition of the magic resistance, so it ignores 20%. So that's going to be a big addition to her, especially the first Awakening. More damage with the third and guarantees crit hits. So you just build her with attack. If you get her to Awaken 3, you can build her with a match attack. You don't really need to worry about the crit rate then at that point. In Awaken 5, you're just giving her a lifesteal effect when she deals through damage. So that's essentially what we can look forward here with Numera. So those of us here in the Forerunner server can see exactly what she can do, especially when she's paired with another poison. See if we can get her to stack to 30. And see how many stacks of poison she can apply herself. So that's the TLDR on Numera. Lyra is all visual. It's just a visual effect thing that they're fixing with her Cosmic Rift. And Diaochan, they're just fixing her the description of her kit, right? No changes to her mechanics, so don't worry about it. The major change here is her Song of Sorrow description. They're saying that the penetration, and so it was labeled that the penetration would be applied to 2 other allies within the highest, they have the highest attack in range. So they're clarifying that now. It's 2 other non-healer allies. So they're making it clear that it's going to be the highest attack in the range that are non-healers. So apparently they can dissect this out in the code by saying, if it's a healer class, don't apply this penetration to them. So that's the change here. The other thing that is big, especially for us to like to plan placements down, if we use heroes that apply something on the field, for example, Ice Crystal Bombs or Kai's Traps, Dahlia's Flowers, just for example, Wukong Summons, the Wailing Skull Monster, if these guys show up on the field, they essentially take the tile away from us. So then we cannot place any units down. All right, well, they're fixing this for us in a way. So there could be an advantage or disadvantage depending on how you settle things out. But if any of these summons do show up and they kind of then disrupt the placement, now we can just go ahead and take our hero and put it right on top of it, and that summon is gone, or the flower is gone, or Eloin's Wood Elf is gone. It's automatically removed. We don't have to worry about it. Our hero now takes priority. That's another fix that is coming into this. This is part of the new patch notes that are being released, or the release that we get to see here. I imagine that this, given how quickly they're applying things here in Forerunner and then how it translates to global, this should be in global by May. They're just not giving any wiggle room to Forerunners anymore to experience the content. It's just instant snap. And this is how they've been treating the content later. There's really no exclusivity anymore in being in Forerunners. But that's a topic that I'll leave for what's going on. You're just here to kind of get an idea of what to expect. But the big thing here is levels 22 to 24 for gear raids 1, 2, and 3. So we get to try out new content. Hopefully the drop rates improved as well. Thank you all very much for tuning and watching. I will see you all in the next video.